Hello again. So, what am I going to talk about? Well, this thing that's in my hand. So, this is the IK Media, Multimedia, iRig Pro Duo. Okay, and I suspect the reason why it's called the Duo is because on the bottom there are two inputs, and on the top it says two channels, two little rotary knobs for two channels, the gains. And I had to use this because there is no way to interface a lapel mic, which is what I've got there, and a radio pack, which is what is sitting on the table here, which is what I use to capture my voice, to transmit onto video for immortality. No, seriously, but to actually transmit my video onto these videos. And I sort of fell out of love with this, and I'll explain why I can't get on with this interface. Now, I have subsequently, I put this on eBay and I've sold it, so it's just about to go in a box and go off to its new owner, because I saw very little point me keeping it, putting it on the shelf and letting it keep dust. I used to be very good at doing that, not so keen on doing it nowadays, so what I've done is sold it. So this is just literally about to go into a box, and then it'll be going off to the courier company tomorrow. But I thought I'd do a piece about it and why I couldn't get on with it. So, first things about this. It takes two AA batteries, okay? Standard AA batteries. Now, what I was finding, irrelevant which batteries I put in, Duracell, Eveready, Panasonic, whatever they happen to be, this thing was going through batteries at the rate of 2 batteries every week. So doing the videos, and yes, you know, they take longer than the 15-20 minutes you see me sort of waffling on the screen. So, you know, there's probably lots of cuts and lots of takes and lots of me fluffing my words and talking complete and utter garbage and rubbish which are cut out and recycled. But it goes through, it was going through 2 batteries approximately every week, which is quite a heavy haul for this thing. Now I've replaced this with the Go mixer from Roland, which is what I'm currently using to talk to you on now. And I find that mixer, apart from the fact it draws its power from the source that it's going into, the other thing is it has the ability to put 2 lines in from a keyboard, a line in from a guitar, a line in from a bass. So it is actually very, very versatile in terms of what you can actually record down onto that into the source. This was not so forgiving. It basically had 2 inputs at the bottom, and what I found out was that if I recorded my microphone into that input, it would actually come up on the left hand channel. It wouldn't come up as a stereo, and there was no way I could find with this unit of being able to put the sound onto both channels. It was either left or it was right, but it was not both, so you didn't get a stereo track. So what I was finding I was having to do in post-production was actually frig the stereo by cutting it out of. So when you got your final video edit, it's cutting the voice track out and then effectively simulating the voice track and then putting it back up. So it sounded like it was stereo, but it really wasn't a stereo. It was more like a double mono. Sounds a bit daft, doesn't it? But a double mono track rather than a stereo track. But that way it would at least come out of the left and right speakers. So that was the second thing that drove me absolutely balmy about this, was the fact that you couldn't record stereo, you were recording mono. And if you did, so what I then did was I then ran the radio mic through a mixer to run a stereo feed into this to get a stereo output, which sort of rather defeated the object of having a mobile device, because it really at that point becomes not very mobile. So that was the second thing. The third thing I struggled with, and I did get it to work, but it sort of was a bit restrictive, was the fact that it does take power. It's a 9-volt power source that goes into this thing. But again, if you're going to use power, it's not a mobile solution. Whereas my Go mixer, to be honest, I can plug my microphone directly into my Go mixer, and I can take my Go mixer wherever I like, and the thing will work as long as the iPad, the iPhone, or whatever else I'm plugging it into has got power to it. So I've plugged this into the Mac. It works fine on the Mac. I've plugged it into my iPad, my iPhone, and into the camera, and it all works fine all the way around. So, so that's pretty good. Whereas this would not. This was really, really restrictive. And again, the other thing is, I think to save space on it, and I'm not quite sure why. So the MIDI was this sort of daft 1/8 of an inch jack type sort of arrangement. It's rather than having a standard MIDI port on here. I mean, I couldn't work out why you would want to have MIDI on an audio interface anyway, but such as this. That is the jack where the audio will go in, and again, it's like a sort of standard S-video jack. Do you remember S-video years and years ago? Well, that's an S-video jack. So I did think about trying to see if I could get hold of an S-video camera to see if it would work that way. But when I tried that with a friend of mine who's got an S-video camera, it didn't work either. So what this thing does claim to be is it claims to be able to run phantom power on it. From the batteries. Now, it probably can run phantom power. I've never tested phantom power on it, but I do believe it probably can. But based on my experience, if I can zap the batteries in this thing every week doing recording, how quickly would I zap the batteries using phantom power? Very, very quickly indeed. So for me, this as a solution does not work. It may work for other people, but it doesn't work for me. So, unfortunately, iRig Pro Duo from IK Media gets a bit of a thumbs down from me in terms of being able to work for me. Boom. Right, second thing. I went to see Lisa Stansfield last night. So, those of you who don't know who Lisa Stansfield is, she is a canny Yorkshire lass. Who has one of the most soulful voices ever to come out of England, as far as I'm concerned. She was very big in the 80s and continues to sell lots and lots of albums, and if you go and see her live, she has so much energy. It's quite frightening, given the fact she's about 10 years older than I am, and I don't have that much energy. But I went to see her last night, and the show was fabulous. Very, very good. Highly recommend Lisa Stansfield. Now, one of the things that happened this week, having gone to see Lisa Stansfield at the weekend, I was going back over some of the Lisa Stansfield tracks that I listened to when I was younger. So we're talking about things like Real Love, Change, All Around the World. What's the name of the All Woman? All Woman, yes, All Woman. So there was a number, and she did a number of new tracks, but she did all the classics that you expect to hear her sing from her back catalogue. And it was really quite fabulous. I have to be honest and say it was really quite fabulous. But going back on the thread that I just walked straight off of. So I went back through the back catalogue. Now, years ago when I was playing and DJing and various other bits and bobs, there used to be, you always used to get a mix of a song. So the 12-inch would come out back in the day, and you would get various mixes on the 12-inch. And there were two producers who I quite enjoyed. One was called Dry as a Bone, and the other was a guy called Joey Negro. Joey Negro, get that right. And they did a lot of remixes on a lot of artists around that point in time. and they were really quite funky, quite soul remixes. And they worked with a whole range of people from that sort of era. There was sort of a couple of really big producers around that time. I can think of Frankie Knuckles and Jimmy Jam and Jam and Lewis, Terry Lewis. Anyway, you sort of get the drift. So this week I've been going back over and looking some of these guys up and see if they actually did more stuff, and the answer was that yes, they did. And I have to be honest and say, or brutally honest and say, their stuff is pretty damn good, pretty superb actually. There is a Dry as a Bone album on Spotify, which I've thoroughly enjoyed listening to this week. There's also an album by Joey Negro on Spotify, which I've also thoroughly enjoyed listening to this week. In terms of in my day job, quite often I've been sitting there listening away, typing away, doing documentation for the work I do in IT, and all people have seen me doing is, yes, you get the drift. I look like a complete lunatic, but I've been enjoying myself this week. And given the fact that this week has been a 4-day week because of Easter, it was even better. So the weekend came around a lot quicker, and I went to see Lisa Stansfield a lot quicker. Anyway, as I said, or I've said a couple of times recently, my other life is very hectic at the moment. In fact, it's incredibly hectic at the moment with other things that are going on, and I will get to the point where I can tell you guys what's going on. Anyway, story for another day. Catch you later. Bye bye. So this is the point in the video where I turn around to you and say, if you enjoyed the contents of this video, please give it a thumbs up. It allows other people to find this content more easily that you have enjoyed. I'm sure by now, if you didn't like the content of the video, you've probably given me a thumbs down, but I'd prefer if you didn't. If you'd like to be notified about when I post additional content to this channel, somewhere about here should be the subscription icon. So please click on there and subscribe to the channel. Over here should be other content that you may enjoy that I've already done or posted to the channel. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again.